And welcome, everyone. This is TaijhTV. A new order has arrived, and we don't even know it yet. Or they're just not telling us. Prime ministers all over the globe are resigning mass amounts. Just this year alone, 2022. But before we get to all of that, a new religion has already been brought to the table. Disney Channel's Raven Simone debuts the first transgender character. But that wasn't even the top of this cake. To me, the top of the cake was this right here. Senator Hawley goes viral discussing with a law professor. I just want you to hear the exchange.
Right, today during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, Senator Josh Hawley engaged in a very tense back and forth with a Berkeley law professor over her commentary over whether or not men can get pregnant. Who would have thought it? Take a look.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you are denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or are they also treated like this? Where
No,
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good time in my class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
The black female is ushering in the new religion. No, men cannot have fucking kids. Come on. Men cannot bear children. Come on. Simple fucking science there. But the thought, the argument, the attitude that black woman possessed for a simple fucking question that deserved a simple answer is mind-blowing. But if you haven't noticed, they have been using the black for quite some time to promote the gay agenda. The gay agenda is the first step to the new religion. You have to accept people for who they are, or death to you. That's how they feel. That's how they think. People running up on stage to comedian Dave Chappelle because he doesn't agree with their thinking. The new order is here. But which order is it? Belgium, vice prime minister resigns. Gave a bullshit excuse to take care of her husband. That's never stopped a politician before. Estonian prime minister says Putin has to lose this war.
Right now, the goal is to stop this war, to stop the Russian aggression, not to expand the war. And of course, we're trying to help Ukraine massively, and we are with the military defense weaponry. This is something that has not been there before.
The human suffering on the ground, we're seeing all this video now of all these indiscriminate bombings. The whole world is watching with horror. What do you imagine is how this ends?
It is heartbreaking. I mean, we are doom scrolling, our phones all the time. And it's like, really, and I'm asking this question all the time, that what else can we do? But also, I mean, is there somehow Putin can back off from this? I mean, in poker's terms, he has gone all in. So he either wins or he loses. And I think for us, Putin has to lose this war.
See, to the far left and their liberal agenda, Putin has to lose. That's not for me. I mean, I don't give a fuck personally if he wins or loses. But the first female prime minister of that said nation is determined on Putin losing this war to Ukraine. And I can assure you, Putin is winning this fucking war. He's been winning since day one. He probably already won it. We're just trying to gather as many allies. And when I say we, I'm talking about America's tyrannical government is trying to gather as many allies as possible to block the BRICS nation of pure dominance. Let's see how it's going for the Estonian prime minister now. Estonian prime minister resigns. That was today. She wants to form a new government, but Putin must go. She doesn't even know which government she serves on. Israel prime minister stepping down. That was June 20th of this year. Swedish prime minister steps down in November of this year. These are big power countries stepping down. French President Macron rejected Prime Minister Borne's offer to resign. That was June 21st. I think he did just resign, but let's listen.
For more on this story, we can go across to Clovis Casali standing by at the Elysee Palace. Clovis, good morning to you. We just had the French Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne who resigned, but Emmanuel Macron is refusing to accept it.
That's all you need to hear. Superpower Prime Minister resigning. Kuwait Premier resigns. When was this? April 5th, 2022. All this year, all these prime ministers, all these elites resigning. In the sad case of Abe, Shinzo Abe, former Japanese prime minister, he got fatally killed, fatally shot about a week ago.
By videotaped by the smartphone.
A former prime minister gunned down in broad daylight. Sri Lanka president flees his own nation, July 13th, 2 days ago. The president and the prime minister have both resigned in that nation. Let's see a little bit of what's happening in Sri Lanka.
In Colombo.
Their target heavily guarded. Their mood determined. As news spread that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe had just been made acting president, Crowds gathered in front of his office, one of the few government buildings not yet occupied by protesters.
Protesters are chanting that Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Prime Minister, is a thief. They don't just want President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to step down, they want the whole political class to leave, and they want to change.
And this is how they're pushing for that change. A mass movement born out of economic hardship, sending a message to those in power.
We don't want violence, and we don't want to hit or something to that Prime Minister who trying to be a president right now. We only want, please resign.
But it didn't take long for security forces to use tear gas and water cannons.
Fight by the people. Really is.
But where does that moment go next?
Why did you come here today?
To help my country. I love my country, so I want to come to here and help my country.
That house that they're in, that's the former president's palace. Talk about it, an insurgents. Now, that's just a nation fed up with their tyrannical government. Sri Lanka is poor, beyond poor, bankrupt, negative, soon to be owned by the IMF, soon to be owned by every major fucking bank this world possesses. And they know it. They know whatever fucking freedoms that they once had, it's over. They're trying to not have that done to them. But what can you do when your military doesn't back you? The world's not backing you. You got to take shit in your own hands. And that's what they did. That's what they did. But here's the icing on the cake. The biggest resignation so far. Boris Johnson, the UK, the British Prime Minister, resigns. Let's take a look.
Tonight, Britain, America's closest ally, descending into uncertainty after Prime Minister Boris Johnson's dramatic, defiant Downing Street statement today, blaming his own party for forcing him out.
The herd instinct is powerful. When the herd moves, it moves. So how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the BRICS.
And there we are, classic Boris Johnson. No apology, simply an explanation for why he fought so hard. As he spoke outside Downing Street, opponents booed. The world famous Boris brand, unkept hair and love of political stunts, even when they went wrong. Becoming a fatal liability as Prime Minister. His integrity questioned by a cascade of scandals where he was caught lying, including at first denying, then acknowledging he attended parties during COVID lockdowns. But his global impact undeniable, controversially leading Britain into Brexit and through a pandemic, even hospitalized himself, then allying himself with President Biden to support Ukraine's President Zelensky, traveling twice to Kyiv.
Thank you to your incredible resistance.
Zelensky expressing sadness at Boris Johnson's departure today. Tonight, Johnson says he'll stay in office until a replacement is found, but that could take months. Uncertainty at such an unstable time for Europe.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top.
Boris Johnson. Remember, he was just talking mad shit on Russia and Vladimir Putin. Oh, let's take our shirts off like Vladimir Putin. Ooh, let's act so tough. Well, he's now unemployed. But this is when people start noticing that there's a new order happening. In America, NATO, the legacy allies are not going to be running this shit. I've warned you before. I've told you it was the BRICS nations. I told you it was Brazil. I told you it was Russia. I told you it was India. I told you it was China. And I told you it was South Africa. But it gets better. Listen to Joe Biden when asked about Boris Johnson. Listen to his response. President Biden, any reaction to Boris Johnson resigning as prime minister? Joe Biden's response was no, it's part of the process. They're selling us down the river. We would no longer be leading the world in anything. That level playing field that they all talk about so much, it's happening. And shit, it might have already happened. The IMF warns of dark economic outlook and call for tighter controls. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, published a paper Wednesday that warned of dark, troubled economic times ahead when the world can expect to have less of everything except social instability. They're telling the governments, tighten the fuck up. Shit's about to get wild. Shit's about to get real motherfucking crazy. You better believe it. In order to build back better, you must tear down the old legacy system. In order for build back better to be strong, you must build it with bricks, not wood. Inflation reaches 9.1%, the highest U.S. has seen in 40 years. That's where we're at. 2022. The euro dips below $1 for the first time since 2002. They're tearing this financial system down. This is just what it is. And this is the man leading the way. Deranged. He has no idea where he's at. Let me shake hands. Let me sit here. Okay, over there. That's who's leading America. The fool. The puppet. The puppet leads America. Listen to the Malaysian Prime Minister warn about what's coming and why this left mob, the liberal world, listen to what they're trying to do to us.
Malaysia's former Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, said that the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPPA, is a New World Order strategy by a powerful pact of people led by the US to dominate the world economy. Speaking at the international conference titled New World Order, Recipe for Peace or War, organized by the Perdana Global Peace Foundation, Dr. Mahathir said globalization and borderless trade are being used to establish a one-world government.
Basically, it is about having a world government. We should abolish all states, all nations, all borders, but instead have only one world government. And that world government is to be by certain people, elites, people who are very rich, very intelligent, very powerful in many ways. They are the ones who will govern the world. There was not much talk about democracy or choice of leaders. Instead, there was to be a government by these elites who will impose their rules on everyone in this world. And for those who are unwilling to submit to them, there will be punishment. And the peace that we will get from this is the peace of the graveyard, because the intention also is to reduce the number of people in this world. At the time when the New World Order was enunciated, the population of this world was only 3 billion. The intention was to reduce it to 1 billion. Now the population of the world is 7 billion. There will be a need to kill many billions of people or to starve them to death or to prevent them from giving birth in order to reduce the population of this world.
This is why Roe v. Wade was so important. This is why. The overturning of Roe v. Wade gives that little hope of American salvation. China has 1 billion. India has 1 billion. America doesn't even have 500 million people. But that's why this world order cannot go through America again. We're too corrupt over here. Now you might think China and Russia are more corrupt. They have their ways, but no. It's America. Our politicians, the people who allegedly lead us, the people we elect to lead us, so we think, are the most corrupt people on this planet. And what you just heard from this gentleman right here was they came up to him with an offer, and he refused. Because he knew and understood that this new order will not go through the left United States or the left UK or the left French people. No. This is going to go through your communists, your conservatives that are communist, your Chinas, your Russias. This is going through them. Biden must make it clear to Saudi leaders that continued ballistic missile cooperation with China will jeopardize U.S. missile defense assistance. Yeah, sure. President Biden met with the Saudi crown prince, and he says he rebuked him for this guy's murder, Khashoggi, or whatever the fuck however you pronounce it. No, none of that's happening. I'll get to that in a second. China laughs, Biden going cap in hand to ask Gulf countries for more oil. That's why he went over there. Kissing the ass of a prince to get oil. Oil that we've sent to China. You can't make this shit up. You really can't. They're preparing you for the collapse. This is the Capitol. This was a picture taken July 12th, 3 days ago. This is the Capitol of the United States. They are preparing for us to destroy shit. They're preparing for us to receive news that we will not like. This is what this country, this government is doing to us. They are preparing us for the worst news that we might hear ever. I think the collapse of the economy is coming. I think the collapse of the superpower that we call America is coming. Putin, they already lost. Putin says the West and NATO's defeat in Ukraine marks the beginning of the end of the world ruled by American egocentricism in a speech that welcomes a world built on multipolar foundation. Let's listen to Mr. Putin and what he has to say.
Они должны были бы понять, что уже проиграли с самого начала нашей специальной военной операции, потому что ее начало означает и начало кардинального слома.
Because its beginning also meant the start of a fundamental breakdown of the American world order. I'm telling you, the American world order is gone. It's over.
Миропорядка по-американски. Это начало перехода от либерально-глобалистского американского эгоцентризма.
This is the beginning of a transition from liberal globalist Americans
к действительно многополярному миру. Миру, основанному не на придуманных кем-то для себя эгоистических правилах, за которыми нет ничего, кроме как стремления к гегемонии. Не на лицемерных двойных стандартах, а на международном праве, на подлинном суверенитете народов и цивилизаций, на их воле жить своей исторической судьбой, своими ценностями и традициями, и выстраивать сотрудничество на основе демократии, справедливости и равноправия. И надо понимать, что этот процесс остановить уже невозможно.
We must understand that this process cannot be stopped.
Они должны были бы понять, что уже проиграли с самого начала нашей специальной военной операции, потому что ее начало означает и начало кардинального слома миропорядка по-американски. Это начало перехода от либерально-глобалистского американского эгоцентризма к действительно многополярному миру. Миру, основанному не на придуманных кем-то для себя эгоистических правилах, за которыми нет ничего, кроме как стремления к гегемонии. Не на лицемерных двойных стандартах, а на международном праве, на подлинном суверенитете народов и цивилизаций, на их воле жить своей исторической судьбой, своими ценностями и традициями, и выстраивать сотрудничество на основе демократии, справедливости и равноправия. И надо понимать, что этот процесс остановить уже невозможно.
Russia has a say-so. But just so you guys can understand how big that this thing truly is, I'm going to put on the screen what's happening with the BRICS nation before I head out of here. Not going to play a video, but I'll show you. This shit's happening. As much as you don't want to admit it, America the Babylon has been defeated. We played an all or nothing game. BRICS expects Egypt, Saudi Arabia, who Joe Biden literally bent the knee for today, and Turkey to join the group soon. July 14th. This was yesterday. The president of the BRICS International Forum expects Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia to join the group very soon. In an interview with Russia's whatever, this guy said that China, Russia, and India discussed the issue during the 14th BRICS summit. All these countries have shown an interest in joining and are preparing to apply for membership. I think this is a good step because expansion is always perceived positively. This will clearly increase the influence of BRICS in the world. What did I tell you guys? The greatest power a human being can possess is influence, right there. I hope that the accession of countries to BRICS will happen very quickly, because now all representatives of the core of the association are interested in expanding the organization. So it will be very soon. She stressed that the accession of Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey may not take place at the same time. Earlier, Lee Kexin, Director General of the Department of International Economic Affairs of the Chinese Foreign Ministry, said that several countries were knocking on the doors of organizations, including Indonesia, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Argentina. Don't you find that amazing? All these nations that America just never worked with, never invested in like that. Well, invested time, not money. They're all ganging up to become a superpower themselves. Poor nations, many of them used to be poor nations. Some of them will be some of the richest nations. More value will be added to BRICS if Iran joins. This is July 13th. Literally 2 days ago. Recently, Iran applied to join BRICS, a group consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. On a global level, this forum represents 40% of the world population and 26% of the world economy, according to IMF data. Now, with Iran's entry, more value will be added to BRICS as it holds around a quarter of the Middle East oil reserves and second largest global gas reserves. Invited to a virtual meeting of the BRICS summit, Iranian President Raisi has delivered a speech expressing Iran's readiness to share its vast capabilities and potential to help BRICS countries attain their goals. You guys need to start looking this shit up. You guys need to start taking the BRICS nations serious. In order to build back better, you must build with BRICS. And I thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry I missed you last week. Sorry I missed you Tuesday. I just been a busy dad. I will see you this upcoming Tuesday. Have a good night and peace out.